Hello everybody, my name is Wilbur and welcome to episode 11 of the Geek'd Out Podcast. It's a podcast about video games, and as you can tell by today's title episode, we are talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the whole goddamn series, and I have an amazing guest to talk about Tony Hawk's with. She is the Queen of Scream and also the host of the TGIF Podcast. It's Kat. How you going, my friend?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk about one of my favorite franchises ever.
Me too. I love Tony Hawk's, and I stumbled so much on that intro, but I don't care because I'm only human.
It was great.
Maybe because I'm nervous. I'm like, oh, another podcast person. Oh, the nerves.
Hey, I'm a freshie too. Don't worry.
Podcasting's fun. So I just want to, ask you about your podcast. So let everyone know, if they don't know who you are, explain what your podcast is and what you talk about.
Yeah, so I have a horror movie podcast called TGIF because back in the day, Friday night was movie night in my house. So what better way to celebrate my absolute love of my favorite genre than talk about it with people who also love the genre. So we just have casual conversations about a movie that my guest chooses, and we analyze it. We talk about its themes, the tropes, the characterizations, character arcs, what we liked, what we didn't like. And yeah, it's just a really fun hour and a half talking and shooting shit about horror movies.
So guys, it's basically like this podcast, but instead of video games, it's horror movies, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is.
And you can tell we're about the same age because Friday night was also movie night for us, all games night, where it's like Mum would let us get pizza, she'd take us down to the local video store, and then me and my brother straight to the horror movie section. Back when we had VHS. And then it's like, well, what haven't we seen yet?
I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies as a kid, so we never really hired horror movies. I think once my dad let us hire The Ring, and I think he regretted that deeply because my cousin decided that calling the home phone every few minutes was hilarious. So
while you're trying to watch it?
Yeah. No, it's just funny. Like, oh, you're so funny. So I didn't stumble across horror films until a little bit later. I might have been in my very early teens. And my aunt, who is I think she's only 10, 11 years older than me, introduced me to the wonderful world of horror. It was really cool, and I'm really grateful for it.
What was the horror movie that got you into it?
I'm not 100% sure because she just put whatever she had hired that weekend on. So I'd kind of just watch whatever was on at their house at the time. But when I was about 14, the Saw series started, and she rented the first Saw film. And that, for me, I'd watched horror movies before that, but it was definitely the Saw 1 that really introduced me into the genre and what I liked about it, because Leigh Whannell and James Wan just did such a fantastic job on that film. And it's gory, it's got a great story, it's got a ridiculous twist at the end. And I was just like, holy shit, I think I love this.
I will die on this hill because Saw 1 is one of the best horror movies ever made. You said it, you nailed it. Like, it's the story, the themes, it's so simple as well. It's like two and a dead guy in a room, and it's a lot of talking, a lot of world building within the dialogue, and then it's got the gore, and then the twist at the end. I'm like, wow.
That fucked me up. Oh, am I allowed to swear?
Oh yeah, we're Australian, mate.
I was just like, because it'll just come out, and then I don't notice until afterwards, and I'm like, oh, oops.
We're fucking Australian. It's
all right. Listen here.
It's what we
do. I loved
do.
it. I'm fucking sick.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of Americans don't swear as much as us. I don't know why. It's fun.
It's just a second language here.
Try working with I work in transport and logistics. I work around a lot of truck drivers, forklift drivers. Oh, Jesus Christ. The stuff that comes out of their mouths. You just have to awkwardly smile and nod your head. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Cool, I guess.
So we are going to begin the episode with what we have been playing. So Kat, have you been playing any games this week?
I've been playing Luigi's Mansion on and off on my Switch just to relax.
Luigi's Mansion 3?
Yes.
I love that. Yes. Tell me more.
So much fun. I'm really not that far into it. I think I'm only up to the 6th level or something like that. Yeah, I'm not super far because like I'll play for half an hour and then, you know, it's dinner time or I've got some work to do or whatever. So it's just like a wind down thing for me at the moment. Yeah, other than that, a little bit of Dead by Daylight and that's about it.
Ooh. Yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 is such a good game. I played that, I think it came out last year. The last like 10 years are just one big blur. But yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3, it just shows how good Nintendo is and just the quality of game they can make.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They really love their first party games, and you can see how much love all of the team puts into these games, and it's just lots of fun. Like my 4-year-old niece plays it with me and she loves it as well. So it's lots of fun for everyone.
Yeah, that's super cool. Tell me more about Dead by Daylight. Do you play that heaps, or are you just new to it, or?
I'm just new. I play Huntress because I don't want to be in a team.
So you're the killer.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I think I got up to I don't know. I have like a 20 next to my name.
Yeah,
I don't know what
I don't play that
means.
much either. I don't really know what anything means.
I know nothing. I'm just like, this is cool, I guess.
Oh, I can kill. Okay, yep. Let's just do that.
Spending my blood points. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to watch some videos or read like a fan page or like a wiki on it because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, because on the surface, the game's like simple. You know, it's like 1v4. You're either the killer or survivor. You either go around killing people or you go around surviving. But it gets a little bit deeper with like, you know, this different skills and I forgot what I think that blood points or something like it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty deep system, and it's like that's why that game has maintained, you know, the community that it has, and you know, and then it adds really cool horror movie villains that like licensed ones.
Yeah.
Which are really cool. Have you seen any of the cool licensed ones, and are you keen to play any of those?
I have thought about it, but I know that it's like a DLC that I've got to pay for, and I'm kind of in the like area where I'm just like, will I play it enough to like justify me paying for DLC? So I just don't have a lot of time on my hands. So I'm like, I'm happy playing Huntress, but I really want Ghostface, and I really want Ash from Ash vs Evil Dead, Evil Dead, like the Evil Dead universe. And so I'm thinking about it. Maybe if it goes on sale.
I love Ash. He's so good. Like I love Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, and I guess Evil Dead 2's. It's kind of weird. Like it's kind of like one, but not really. But then Army of Darkness is when you get full Ash experience.
Yeah, and what's so funny that we talk about Evil Dead is I just did a ranking video with a horror movie YouTuber called Sledgehammer Horror, and we ranked the Evil Dead series, and like I love all of them, but for me, Army of Darkness just feels like such a detachment from what I know the Evil Dead as.
Yeah.
But like I love it. It's absolutely insanity.
It's like two different movies. Like it feels like two different franchises almost.
Yeah, definitely.
Where one is like, one is such a talking about like perfect horror movie. It's so good.
Okay, I'm Evil Dead 2. I love the retcon. Thank God that came along.
Yes. But I'm glad they're doing the Ash vs Evil Dead series. And did you like the remake of the Evil Dead?
It was a little bit hard to digest because there's some really strong themes in that I am uncomfortable watching, but I absolutely 100% praise it for the filmmaking that it is, and that it is a very, it pays such brilliant homage to the Evil Dead series and Sam Raimi as a filmmaker. But I just have a little bit of trouble with it sometimes, but I want to rewatch it. I've watched it a couple of times, but I'm just like, oh, this is so heavy.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy, pretty dark, and there are a few like deeper themes where, the original Evil Dead is just your typical a few people, cabin in the woods kind of thing, and they raise the spookies.
Yeah.
The Deadites. Are they the Deadites in that one?
Yeah, Deadites.
Yeah, cool.
In Evil Dead 2, yeah, and 1. I like the Deadites in Evil Dead 2 better than 1.
I remember watching it, and my mum walked in. She's like, "Oh my god, this movie scared me as a kid."
Yeah, my dad is the same.
Like, "Oh, Mum, you're old. Why would you be scared of this?" And then like a pencil goes through the ankle. I'm like, "Oh,
I get it.
That's me. I'm scared too, Mum."
I didn't watch Evil Dead until I was in my early 20s. So I think I'd gotten past like that kind of stuff scaring me. But Evil Dead Remake definitely got me right in the fields.
Hey, I'm 32, and if someone stabs someone in the ankle with a pencil, it's going to make me very scared and terrified. Like I think they did that in, oh no, he cut the Achilles heel in Pet Sematary or something like that with a little goddamn knife. I'm like, just leave the ankles out of this, horror movie directors. I hate it. Makes me feel queasy.
Yeah, me too.
The only game I've been really playing this week is Valheim, which came out 2 weeks ago. And Valheim is a Viking survival, play with your friends kind of game. And oh boy, it is a game that is going to take a lot of the time that I have in my life because it is so good. Is this a game? Have you heard about this game?
I've seen it on the Twitter, but I just haven't been diving into new games lately. I feel like I've just separated myself from that for unknown reasons. But I want to get back into games. Is it crafting? Is it like a Civ 6? Is it an RPG?
It's more like a lot of people are calling it like Viking Rust.
Okay.
But it's purely PvE. So you can have a server and you just invite some of your friends in, and there's no PvP elements to it. So it's like pretty chill, pretty calming, and you can craft items, weapons, armor. You can base build. You can build a whole like village or settlement. It's like third person, and the cool thing about it is when I first saw screenshots, I was like, ooh, this game looks ugly, because it's kind of got like a really like PS2 vibe to like the look of it and textures, but then the lighting is like it's living in 2050. It's so good, and it's both ugly and beautiful, and I don't know how else to like explain it properly. Like, ew, look at these textures, but like, oh, everything's so beautiful. I love it.
Is it on PC?
It's just on PC at the moment, yes, in early access. And
okay.
The cool thing, like, I play a lot of survival games. Like, I love Ark Survival Evolved and Subnautica and all the survival games and base building games. This one does something really cool where it's not as punishing as other survival games, so it's very easy to get into for people who haven't played survival games, or people who don't game all the time, where you get hungry. It's not like you're going to die. You just like, I have like maybe less health than I would, or I'm a little bit slower or whatever. It's very like casual in that way. It's really cool.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting, because I like things where I don't die.
Like, you will die. I'm like, you're not immortal, but because there are enemies around, like PvE enemies, like little goblins and trolls. And me and a few of the guys were just exploring the world. Like, the world's massive. Exploring the world, we found like this snow biome, and we're trying to get like resources, and then all of a sudden this goddamn big giant white wolf comes out of nowhere, and by the time I said wolf, 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 my mate got like murdered in one swipe. The wolf turned to me. I tried to attack it, got me in one swipe, got my other friend, and then got my other friend, like murdered us all like in like 4 swipes. Like, okay, we went a little bit too far out. Let's go get our stuff and then run back home.
Well, let's get the wolf.
So yeah, it's a bit of danger everywhere, but like it's not like extreme like other survival games. And also, your character that you create can go to any server.
Oh, okay. So it's not like server specific or anything.
Yeah, so you can have like your like your character who knows all the different crafting stuff, and you can just go to any server you want. Doesn't matter. Don't have to keep starting new characters to play with other like different groups of friends or different servers. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I want in every game, please.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's all I've been doing. And it's sold 2 million copies in the first 2 weeks.
Oh shit.
Like it's blowing up, and I can see why, because it's taking all my, and it's cheap too. It's like $28 dues.
That's not too bad.
I'm like, yep, sign me up.
I'm here for this.
But we're going to move on to the game that we're going to talk about this week, and that is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the whole series, everything.
We're talking about it all. And
as you know, guys, we usually do one game, so this whole like thing is going to be new to me, and it might be like formatted a little differently, but we're still going to have a fun time. So we are going to start with the Neversoft era of Tony Hawk's, which is 1999 to 2007, and this was peak Tony Hawk's. In I guess this was the only era of Tony Hawk's you should be worrying about anyway.
Yeah, don't worry about anything post 2007 unless you're worried about actual Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Like him as a person.
Do you see like his Twitter stuff and like how he's like, I went to an airport and someone's like, hey, you kind of look like Tony Hawk. He's like, yep, I do.
Cool. I get that all the time.
Yeah. He seems like such a cool dude. Like I would love to just hang out with him, have like a burger or something.
He just seems so cool.
And so like he seems humble too. Like this dude, he's Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
He just seems like so just like humble and like, yeah, man, like whatever. I am cool. Who I am.
Yeah, I'm Tony Hawk.
So Tony Hawk, in early 1998, Activision approached small developer Neversoft, they were very small back then, to develop a skateboarding racing game in order to capitalize on the growing popularity of the sport. In the mid to late 90s was a huge boom in skating and extreme sports with the rise and popularity of the X Games, which was skateboarding, BMX, street luge, anything that could break a bone very easily. Neversoft was founded in July 1994 and is mostly known for their work on the Tony Hawk's and Guitar Hero franchise. Also well known for their really awesome logo with the eyeball, which it's a fantastic logo if you're a 90s kid.
Everyone knows it.
Everyone knows
it. Everyone should know it.
Like I think Neversoft, I think eyeball logo.
Yeah.
Neversoft was acquired by Activision in 1999 and was merged with Infinity Ward in May 2014 and basically became defunct.
Yeah.
So Kat, did you ever get into skating or BMX like growing up?
Well, this game really influenced the way that I started to enjoy this kind of sport, because I didn't really know it existed until I started playing Tony Hawk when I was probably like 11 or 12.
Same, like I think a lot of us did.
So I started spending like my weekly pocket money on getting Thrasher magazine. I was obsessed because I could read about Tony Hawk in those magazines, and I was like, who is this guy? So I became pretty obsessed with like, not obsessed, sorry, that's a weird word to use, but I followed a lot of his career. You know, I'd go to the Vans events down at Bondi Beach. I watched a lot of X Games. I didn't really get into BMX, but I was definitely there for skateboarding, but never skated.
No, I tried to skate. I'm just very unco, so it just never happened.
Yeah, I was worried about hurting my teeth.
Yeah, I was just worried about hurting everything.
But I love skating. I loved watching it, and the game just really opened my eyes to the culture of skating. And so I was watching, you know, like skateboarding documentaries and Lords of Dogtown, and I was obsessed with that movie. And it just was a really cool time for extreme sports to bring out a game like this. And I think it just took it around the world. It took skateboarding to corners of the world where it might not ever have become that popular.
Oh, 100%. I think, before the, like, skateboarding, obviously been around since the dawn of time, really big boom in the 80s. But I guess the 90s is when it just went to the next level, and a lot of people our age, a lot of kids our age, went like, oh, I can do that, and now look at them, they're millionaires, or their whole body has been broken.
Or their Bam Margera.
But I keep forgetting, like, he actually was a skateboarder before he was a jackass.
Yeah. I think that's how the Jackass team met him.
Yeah, through his well, he was doing those CKY videos.
Yes, because his brother is the singer of CKY.
Yeah, and it was kind of like half skateboard video, half sort of pre-Jackass type videos, and then that's when they all got together. MTV sort of picked it up and went bonkers with it. I think we'll talk a little bit about Jackass a little bit later. But just speaking of Bam Margera, just quickly, like, that dude, he obviously had a lot of problems. I guess just like addictions and probably drinking and probably a lot of mental health issues.
Oh yeah.
That he kind of hid away behind his beautiful smile that he had. He still has. He's still a beautiful dude. I'll give him that. Kind of looking like his uncle a little bit these days, but it's good that he's sort of, picking himself back up after just, the deaths of his friends and his addiction struggles, and it's good to see him, on the up and up.
Yeah, well, you've got influences on him like Steve-O, who's been clean and sober for 15 years now or something along those lines. And when you have people like that around you that you know so well, you kind of don't want to let them down either. So I really hope he's, on the up and up, and it's never too late to want to get help or to change who you are as a person, I guess.
No, you're never too old. It's never too late. Just go get it done.
Just do it. There's always people that'll help.
There's somewhere. I'll help.
Oh.
Yeah. The idea of a racing game was abandoned in development after Neversoft showed the adaptability of the control engine to various maneuvers. So, just quickly, that would have been a terrible idea just to make a typical old skateboarding racing game, right? Am I wrong?
No, the weird thing is that there was this game called Sega's Top Skater that was in arcades, and I think that Activision really wanted something like that to take to console for players, and so they were like, yeah, make it a racing game, and it's just like, no, why?
In hindsight, they did the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine if they just made a Tony Hawk's racing game. Wow.
Oh, God. Oh.
I want to see that. I kind of want to see that timeline. Like, is that a cursed timeline or is anything different?
No.
Who knows? Who knows what would happen? To make the gameplay seem as real as possible, company founder Joel Jewett had a half pipe built in his backyard and started skateboarding with his co-workers. Also, motion capture was used to make the skateboarding moves seem as realistic as possible. To distance the franchise from other games, like you said, the arcade skating games, the developers opted for licensing modern rock music, rock songs, in contrast to the classical music usually for video games at the time. The first game was developed within a year by a 12-person team, and Tony Hawk was added as the face of the franchise only late in development. A month before the release of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the PlayStation in 1999, Tony Hawk successfully performed I believe it was the first 900 at that year's X Games, which resulted in huge press coverage of the sport and helped boost sales. And I'm going to put a link of the video of that 900 in the show notes, because it's a small video. It's really cool. He just kept trying and trying and trying, and then he eventually got it. And I was like, I cheered. I'm like, this is so old, but I still cheered. I was like, yay.
There's another video of him attempting the world's steepest half pipe.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. And then there's a young up-and-coming female skater who's, she wouldn't even be a teenager, and she does it as well. And Tony Hawk coaches her through the whole thing, and it's the most wholesome video. And I'm just like, oh my god, I love you so much, Tony Hawk.
please marry me, Tony Hawk. Ooh.
No, not even in that way. Like, he's like, I just want him to be my big brother or something.
I want to marry him.
Oh, I mean,
I want to be another Mr. Hawk.
You're going to be Mr. Wilbur Hawk.
Wilbur Hawk. I was like, okay.
I am Tony Hawk's husband.
Imagine that going around, I'm Tony Hawk's husband.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it, see if it works. Anyway.
The cool thing about this film is that they built this genre entirely from scratch. They had nothing to go on. Nothing. Absolutely. Like, what was a predecessor to this game? Nothing. Nothing.
It was it was basically like downhill races.
Yeah. That's it.
I guess that was like, well, as a big as Activision, they probably saw that and be like, well, we'll just make our own downhill racer. But there's only a few companies out there in the world, and they're usually the great ones who think outside the box and make something new, and then that's when they copy them. That's why after Tony Hawk, that's when you got all the Tony Hawk clones.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just so much, like, it's so deep, this entire story about Neversoft and Tony Hawk, because they absolutely revolutionized some of the gaming mechanics that they brought to this game. We've got chaining together tricks, which has eventually lent itself to games like Infamous Second Sons and Sunset Overdrive. And, I think without these mechanics, that some of these games would never have been inspired to integrate that into their gameplay at all.
Oh, 100%. No way. Like, that's what I mean. Like, the great companies are the ones who think outside the box and do it well, and just have those like just mad lad just visions of what they want, and then it just works. Yeah. And then I wish I could do stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. The thing that cracks me up is that at the time that they were releasing this game and signing Tony Hawk on as the ambassador, Activision offered him $500,000, and Tony Hawk has said in interviews, I had plenty of money at the time, so I wasn't worried about $500,000, so I said no.
Get wrecked.
And now look at the franchise. Like, imagine how much money he gained from just saying no. No, sorry. No, I'm not. Let's see where this goes.
He's thinking in the future. He's a 2050 man. He's living there.
Yeah, and it just really created, like, having Tony Hawk, like, there is just a culture around this game, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, it's incredible. It blows my mind. When did you first play a Tony Hawk game? It would have been Tony Hawk Pro Skater. So when I was about, I want to say, because it came out in 99, so I was turning 10 that year. So it might have been a year or two later. And my uncle gave me and my sister his PlayStation 1, and it had like a whole bunch of games like Colin McRae and, I don't know, Silent Hill, some of the Resident Evil games. And the only game that my sister and I could play multiplayer together was Tony Hawk. And so we would play that all the time. And then as we were getting new consoles, we always stayed with PlayStation, my family. Yeah. We'd always get the next game. And so Pro Skater 2 came out on PlayStation 2. And so we had that. I don't think we got 3, but I definitely played 3 and 4. We got 4, and then we had Tony Hawk Underground as well, and there's a few other ones like American Wasteland and whatnot. So we were always big Tony Hawk fans, like my sister and I. So they were definitely something that we'd just come home from school, we'd put on, career mode, try and get all the skaters, because the great thing about Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the franchise, is that nothing was locked behind microtransactions at that time.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah, so you'd literally just play through career mode and you're unlocking bots like skateboards and skaters and outfits and locations, and you're not having to pay for it. You just have to work fucking hard to get it. Yep. And I think that was a really cool thing. And also being able to play multiplayer. So, in the first one, you have just horse graffiti and trick attack. And then as it develops, you have different multiplayer levels. And I think in number 3 or number 2, you get the level editor where you can make your own levels and stuff. But it was just lots of fun as a kid.
Yeah, like playing with because I played a lot of games with my younger brother, who's like 3 years younger than me. And when we played, I believe we probably played Tony Hawk's 2 first. And yeah, like he would just be like, I'm gonna play this level for 3 minutes or whatever, how long the level would go for, and you just try and get a high score, and then you pass the controller over, and then he would try and get a high score, and then he would never beat me because I'm the older brother and I always win.
See, I'm the older sister and I never won.
Oh no,
my sister's just so good at games. She was so good, and she's not even the gamer in our family.
Oh really?
So weird. Yeah, she's like the only. Oh no, both my sisters don't play video games, but my brothers do, and so do I.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, it was so fun growing up. Did you play most of your games growing up with your siblings?
Probably until I was like maybe 16. And then I stopped playing games for a little while.
Yeah.
And then we had a barbecue at my house when I was probably 18 or 19. And my sister brings out our PlayStation 1. And we were just like, everyone lost their minds. And there was about 10 of us, and we sat on the couch and played the first Silent Hill game.
Oh, wow.
And spent the whole night just playing that together.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, the game, my brother and I think our main game that we played together was the Ocarina of Time on the N64.
Nice. I played that with my dad.
Yeah, like we would come home from school like on a Friday and literally play it until Sunday night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I wasn't allowed to.
It was just such a fun. Like we wouldn't do that every weekend because, as you know, we were the generation who went outside and rode bikes and explored the forests and scuffed our knees. I sound like an old person, don't I?
No, I used to come home with leeches, and my mum would just like lose her mind. She's like, "Where have you been?" And I was like, "Oh, just up the back of so and so's house." And I lived like on the escarpment of my city, and so my mum's like, "No, you're not going back there."
Your mum's like, "Where'd you get these leeches from?" Oh, they followed me home, Mum.
I don't know, but I'd like go home and panic because you can't pull a leech off your skin.
No.
Because they have their teeth stuck in you. So
I don't know what's worse, a leech or a tick.
Oh, probably a tick because they burrow under your skin.
Yeah.
I've never had a tick, thank goodness. So.
Me either. Surprisingly, I've never had a tick because at my mum's house, she lived right next to the forest.
Yeah.
So you know, I had such a fun childhood. Like me and my brother and like a cousin and some of my friends, we would just explore the forest and build little cubby houses and just do little kid shit in the forest. And I'm surprised I never got a tick or bitten by a snake or a spider.
Me too.
I've seen my fair share of snakes and spiders, but you know, I'm not dumb. I'm not gonna go shake its hand or whatever.
Exactly. I never ran into a snake. The only snake I've ever seen dead was a red belly black snake on my, it was dead, sorry. And it was a red belly black snake, and it was like fried to a crisp on my driveway. So I picked it up and I was like, ew. And like put it in the bin because I was like, that's disgusting. Oh, yuck. It's like all crispy.
Like, I'm not going to eat that one.
Ew.
Yeah, because we live next to the forest, like we'd probably get like snakes in the house every now and again. Yeah. And like, I guess I am scared of snakes, but only because of the fact I can't tell which ones are the poisonous ones. Because I see a snake and I'm just going to assume they're all poisonous, which is probably the safest thing to do. But my mum would just come in and be like, you know what? I'm just going to grab it. And she'd like put a towel over its head, grab its like tail, and just pick the whole thing up. I'm like, Mum.
Oh, that's me.
She's like, it's not poisonous. I'm like, well,
how do you know? The good thing is that my dad, he was in the military for 25 years. So he's kind of taught me how to identify. He grew up in the city. So, but when he'd go away on exercise, he had to know what snakes were venomous and what weren't. So he'd like show me pictures and be like, okay, now you live near the bush with your mother. This is what you need to know. So.
Oh, that's useful information.
Yeah. Spiders? No, I don't know.
You don't like spiders?
No, I don't know which ones are venomous.
Yeah, me either. But like, I'm like, they're small.
If they're small, you know they're probably going to kill you. That's how besides like a funnel web, because funnel webs are huge. So I was like, okay. And they'll kill you. So I don't know. This place is confusing. Get me out of here.
Yeah, it's funny when like overseas people are like, oh, you live in Australia? Like Like, you got all these dangerous. I'm like, well, I'm still alive.
Like, look, probably heaps of people have died every year from like redbacks, though.
I keep forgetting that we have redbacks.
Yeah,
It's just a
I've
thing
only
I
seen
forget.
one once. I think I had a white tip on my car a couple of weeks ago, though, and I was like, that's the one I don't want on me because my skin's gonna rot and fall off.
Hey, you know what else I forget? I forget we have platypus.
Oh yeah, they're cool, but also
Poisonous.
they poisonous. Yeah, not venomous.
They're poisonous as well. They're so cute. No.
And it's like, don't touch that. Don't. It's got spikes and it's gonna kill you.
Come to Australia, don't touch anything. Just wear a glove. Just be in a bubble. Don't move.
Don't do
funny.
it.
But
also,
yeah,
nobody in Australia has died since 1979 from a spider bite.
Oh shit! There you go. So don't be afraid. They'll just walk into your mouth while you sleep.
You'll just eat 8 every year.
I should really get a job at like Tourism Australia because
Replace
that's how we're gonna
ScoMo.
Speaking of spiders in the mouth, the huge success of the game prompted Neversoft to vastly expand its production staff in order to be able to release Tony Hawk's games on a yearly basis, which, you know, probably should never do as a game thing, but they were actually pretty successful with this.
Yeah, I was going to say they didn't do too badly.
Didn't do too bad. Not with other games that did that. Assassin's Creed. Neversoft held true to that ambition and released Pro Skater 2 and Pro Skater 3 in 2000 and 2001. Both games retained mostly the same gameplay as their predecessor, along with some improvements. The two games were the most critically acclaimed games for their respective consoles and still rank among the highest rated games of all time. Furthermore, Pro Skater 3 was the first PlayStation 2 game to feature online gameplay. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X, a compilation of the first two games, was released for Xbox in 2001 as the console had not featured the previous entries before, which is a big deal when you're thinking of like a Sony game going to an Xbox, especially back then. Like that's nutty. 2002 saw the release of Pro Skater 4, by which time the franchise was among the best-selling video game franchises in the world. This was reflected in the manpower Activision and Neversoft invested in the franchise, as the employees working on the game had risen from 12 for the first entry to 150, and there were significantly more skaters featured, who all received considerable royalties.
Yeah.
So, Kat, you say awesome. You said when we were messaging about this episode that Tony Hawk's 4 was one of your favorites. Can you tell me why it's one of your favorites? Like, did they just perfect everything by the fourth entry?
It was the soundtrack.
Yes.
Definitely. I just it was just so cool. I don't know. I'm weird when it comes to that stuff, and it's like the fact that they just brought in so many cool artists. And I was listening to a podcast that talked about this game a while back, and they were talking about how they needed something different and unique to bring people to the game. And I think them not only being a skateboarding game, but having really amazing soundtracks that represented the culture at the time for skating was really important for them.
Oh, 100%. And we are going to definitely talk about the music in its own little section because, oh my God, we are both music people, and obviously the music in this game's insanely good, and I love it.
Oh yeah.
So with the 2003 release of the fifth entry in the series, Tony Hawk's Underground, the developers used storytelling and exploration to distance their product from the plotless, task-based format of previous games, which led Neversoft president Joel Jewett to describe Underground as an adventure game. I guess. Fair enough.
What?
It follows the player character and his treacherous friend Eric Sparrow on their quest to become professional skateboarders. The game was created with a theme of individuality. It stars an amateur skater in a true story mode, whereas each previous Tony Hawk's game had starred professional skaters and had lacked a plot. One reason for only allowing the player to use a custom character was that certain criminal acts completed in the plot would not reflect well on real-world skaters, which obviously that would be a big thing. Kind of Tony Hawk's just murdering some old lady, because that would be bad.
No.
Previous games in the series had included character creation features as well, but Neversoft expanded customization in Underground by implementing face scanning for the PlayStation 2 version. So your face is now in the game, guys.
Ew, it was not good.
Have you seen my face? No, don't do it, please. So Underground did some pretty weird stuff with the ability to get off the skateboard, and I believe there was some actual like driving of a car in this game. So do you think they needed to go this direction with a plot and a story? Like, would another, I guess, typical Tony Hawk's game have been acceptable at this point in time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a little bit odd that they were like, hey, let's do a plot-driven skating game. I didn't play a lot of the career mode in this because of that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Crazy Taxi had a storyline, so...
That was such a good... I'm like, Crazy Taxi? Oh, now I'm going back in time. Yeah, Crazy Taxi is so good. Give me a Crazy Taxi remake, please.
Oh my god, yes!
With real-world graphics.
Yeah.
Like Microsoft Flight Simulator, but Crazy Taxi.
Oh my god, that's
you go around the world in a taxi. Oh, I never knew I wanted that game until just then. It's kind of like
now I want it.
I guess it's not the same game, but it's kind of similar to, say, like Call of Duty, right? Where a lot of people, I'm not gonna say everyone, but a lot of people buy Call of Duty for the multiplayer and don't even touch the story. Yeah. It's kind of like that. Like it's kind of cool that it had a story, but people weren't playing Tony Hawk's for a narrative. They were playing it because they wanted to skate around, grab some letters with their friends, and have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Good old Tony Hawk's. Now I want this goddamn Crazy Taxi remake.
I know. I'm gonna just be thinking about that all the time now.
That's terrible. Who made Crazy Taxi, by the way? Crazy Taxi. Was it Sega?
I don't know.
Yeah, Sega.
Oh, okay, because I know it was on PlayStation.
Published Sega. Oh, it's an Activision.
Oh, no way.
If I call Tony Hawk's, Tony, can you please get your dudes at Activision to remake Crazy Taxi, please?
We want Crazy Taxi. Thanks.
Now, I know this is a Tony Hawk's podcast, but this was first released in 1999 also.
Crazy Taxi, yeah. I think they're a couple of months apart from one another.
I want to play Crazy Taxi now. Oh my god. Anyway, I can't. Enough of this Crazy Taxi business. Levels in the console versions of Underground were significantly larger than those of early Tony Hawk's games. Neversoft expanded each level until it ceased to run correctly, then shrunk it slightly. Most of the levels were modeled closely after real-world locations. The designers actually traveled to locales representative of each city in the game, took photographs and videos as a reference. While Neversoft wanted to keep Underground realistic and relatable for the most part, they added driving missions as an enjoyable diversion, I guess, and to push the boundaries of freedom in skateboarding games. However, these missions were intended not to take away from the main experience of skateboarding, because Pro Skater 4 had received criticism for its difficulty. Neversoft added 4 difficulty settings to Underground's story mode. So wouldn't it have been cool to be like working on this game and your boss is like, yo, you're flying out to Moscow to take some photos.
Enjoy. See you suckers. Never coming back.
Like, isn't that cool? What a cool job.
That'd be awesome. It's really innovative, especially during the 90s and early 2000s, to do something like this in a video game. Considering now people can just do that using Google Earth and different mapping and satellite technology. But it's like Neversoft really looked ahead and said, okay, what can we do to make this the best possible experience for our community? And making that realistic and giving the players the chance to visit these locations themselves by skating around in a virtual world is just something you wouldn't have seen at the time.
No.
And it's really cool.
Because a lot of games would just do generic area number 1, generic area number 2.
Yeah.
And it's because obviously some people can think to the future for that kind of stuff, and a lot of the time it's the console holding stuff like that back with different graphics, and so just to do as much as they could with the console they had at the time is such a cool thing. And it's cool for people around the world, say you're in Moscow or whatever countries they went to. I'm sure they came to Australia, possibly, I don't know.
I can't remember.
Like just going there and being from Moscow and being like, oh yeah, this place does seem familiar to me, because not every country's the same, guys.
Yeah.
Looking at you, America.
A relatability level.
Yeah, I need more Australian representation though, guys, please. And Crazy Taxi, the remake.
We are not a hoax.
Coming out
we
2022.
Are a place.
Do you believe that? I can't believe people still think we don't exist.
It's my favorite thing. I've got a friend who lives in the States, and them and I just laugh about it so much. We want to make a podcast about it.
So I also have a lot of friends in America, and they tell me all the crazy stuff that happens. So if you if you're living in America, guys, you're an American, go find yourself an Australian friend, and they will open up your eyes to the world.
You're going to meet Crocodile Dundee, Steve Irwin. You're going to find out about Bunnings snag sandwiches.
And how the proper way to make them is.
What do you mean?
That was controversial as.
Oh, no. It's one slice of bread.
Oh, my God.
A sausage, some onions, and tomato sauce.
But did you remember when that lady was like, I'm gonna sue Bunnings because they put the onions on the top and they fall off and I can slip on them or something. You gotta put the onions on the bottom, and then Australia's just like, no.
Don't do that.
Don't. And it's weird how
she's the only person petitioning for onions to be on the bottom.
Yeah, she's probably a Karen.
Oh, she's definitely not Australian by the sounds of it.
It's funny when you talk about a sausage sizzle to people like in the States, and they're just like, what's that? Is it like a hot dog? You're like, no, it's better.
Better than a hot dog, especially if the sausage skin is crispy.
It's so good, like especially when you didn't have much money for the week. You're like, I can just get like 8 sausages for $5 and a loaf of bread for $1. You're like, fuck yeah,
sausage sandwiches it is.
That's dinner sorted, kids. Speaking of sausage sizzles, Tony Hawk's Underground 2 was released a year after his predecessor and was the only direct sequel in the series. While it still featured a story mode, it took a stark departure from Underground and focused on a world destruction tour orchestrated by Tony Hawk and Bam Margera. As such, the game tried to capitalize on the immense popularity of Jackass and its related media by also focusing on destruction and self-deprecating pranks. One later review referred to the game being more of a Jackass game than the Jackass game. This was reflected by Jackass stars Wee Man, Steve-O, Margera, and his father Phil featuring heavily in the game.
I remember that.
Due to some fans being displeased with the absence of the goal-orientated approach of the Pro Skater era, a classic mode showcasing the old gameplay was included from this entry onwards. Former developer Chris Rauch, I hope I'm saying that, Chris, apologize, sir, recalled that at the time of Underground 2, the control scheme of the series had reached its limit, and Activision instructed Neversoft to develop each new entry around one single new gimmick, such as a story mode or vehicle controls in the Underground sub-series or the open world of American Wasteland. We're talking a little bit about Jackass before. Were you a Jackass fan?
As an early teenager, yes.
As an adult?
As an adult, I realized how incredibly problematic it is, but I can wear my early 2000 lenses while I I don't watch it now, but when I think about it, I'm like, okay, it was early 2000s. It was a very different time.
It was a thing. It was a thing back then.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I love Johnny Knoxville. He is a riot. I had the biggest crush on him when I was like 15, 16.
Yeah, I can see that. He's handsome.
Very handsome. Yeah, he just seems like a very insane person, like just chaos.
Yeah.
But some of the shit they did, I was like, oh, you couldn't do that now.
No, not on television.
No.
No, just do it in private. I remember when
And
they
I think-
started doing the stuff with trolleys.
Oh yeah.
That was
yeah.
when you'd see trolleys everywhere around. Like they can't do that
Yeah.
now because they have like a hard lock on them. But back then, you like see a trolley in a skate park, you're like, jackass.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I was a fan of Jackass growing up. Obviously, being a teenage boy, laughing at fart jokes and just very just hurting themselves for laughter. Like it's just such a boy thing.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with older cousins who are all boys. And so on my dad's side of the family, all of my cousins are male and my sister and I are the only girls. So we grew up a bit rough around the edges. So we were definitely probably the kids up in the car park at the shopping centre with shopping trolleys. Not going to lie.
I mean, you look back at those times and you're just like, you know what? It was just good old fun.
I had a good time. I did get a concussion once though.
Ouch.
Yeah, my cousin, we had been watching a lot of Jackass, and he said to me, Kat, I dare you to ride down this hill on your bike. And I didn't have a helmet on, and I rode down the bike, and something had happened, and the wheel buckled, kind of, and I fell off and hit my head on the gutter.
Oh.
So that was good fun. I don't remember I think my uncle, because I lived on the same street as my cousins growing up, and so I think my uncle got me in the car and drove me home, and yeah, it wasn't good.
Oh, that would have hurt.
I blame Jackass on it.
Because I sacked my bike a lot of times, like on roads. I remember the main thing that happened to me growing up, this isn't like Jackass related, but I was riding on the road, but I was off to the side, and it was down a street, and this car came it was like a slight hill, like it went up and then went down, but it wasn't a crazy hill. And I was on like the other side, and this car was probably speeding, came down and was too close to the gutter and hit me on my bike, but it kind of hit most of the bike and I flew off.
Holy crap!
I think I was like, I want to say like 9 or 10, possibly. I was a little baby, and he didn't stop. He stopped. He said, I think he said something like, "Get off the fucking road" or something, and drove off.
And you're like, you literally just hit me.
And I was like, 9 or 10, and I was crying, but I think I was crying more because I saw what happened to my bike. I didn't even register that a car hit me and flew me off my bike. I saw my bike. I was like, I was crying.
That's so sad.
But yeah, I was like, I think about it every day. I'm like, what a dick.
What an asshole.
I hope someone hits him on his bike.
Oh god.
But yeah, growing up as a teen in the 90s, you just hurt yourself with everything. So good. So in 2005, American Wasteland was released on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, Xbox 360 as a launch title, and later on, I wrote that so stupidly. I was going to read that as the Xbox GameCube. That doesn't make sense.
I see that.
The game's story mode is set in the city of Los Angeles, where the player characters are trying to renovate a rundown skate park. While the game was advertised with featuring one huge, comprehensive open world in story mode, the game's world actually comprised of several levels resembling different areas of Los Angeles, which were connected through loading tunnels to make them appear consecutive. Similar to Underground 2, the game includes a classic mode, separate from the story mode, which mostly recycles levels of the PSP exclusive Underground 2 remix released earlier that year.
Had that game on PSP.
You had that game on PSP? What was it like?
I don't really remember. My sister played it a lot more because the PSP was hers, and so she played it a lot more than what I did. You'd have to ask her, I guess. Okay,
we'll get her. We'll get on. It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? We'll phone a friend. The game implemented BMX controls similar to that of Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX games, which were also released by Activision, which I kind of remember those games. They were pretty fun. You also mentioned American Wasteland to me when we were messaging. Is that another favorite in the series for you? And what did you like about that one?
I like the concept of the game. It was really cool, and it really was the game. And around the time that I decided when I turned 18, I was going to get up and move to America. So.
Oh, wow.
I didn't. but I was like, I have to go to America when I graduate. So this was actually really, this was really close to when I was graduating from high school. So I graduated high school in 2007. And this was released in 2005. So it really solidified my want and need to move to America because I was like, Los Angeles is beautiful. Look at this game.
So for 2 years in high school, you're like, yep, this is happening. This is what I'm going to do, baby.
Oh, yeah. I convinced myself that my dad was paying for me to go there for a month or two. and he never said yes to that. But I was like, you're doing it, Dad.
It's like, you don't have to say yes. It's just happening.
It's happening. Like, other parents do it for them. You have to do it for me.
Would you move overseas now?
No.
No? Like nowhere at all overseas?
No, I'm pretty happy where I am.
Yeah.
I like to travel, but I like where I am.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I also wanted to move to America growing up. But now I'm like, you know what? That's probably the last place I'm going to go to. I will visit.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go and say hello and g'day, how you going? But I'm not living there. Not living there, no. I'll break something and then I'll be bankrupt and I'll have to come back anyway.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, yikes.
I think maybe I'll move to Canada. It's all.
Also, they have social health care.
Yep. And it's like cold all the time. Well, we talked about this before we recorded. I'm a cold person, you're a summer person. Sometimes we're friends.
Sometimes, only sometimes.
Yeah, I want to live with the cold. I want to live with the snow.
Yeah.
Although, like, America's snow problems at the moment, I'm kind of like, well, you know, the heat here is not too bad.
It is crazy over there at the moment. It's pretty scary.
Oh, like with Texas and everything happening?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a, like, I knew America was different, but man, just everything that's happening is just like, man, you guys are really different.
Yeah, they're a little, I don't even know what to say. It's just like...
They're in their own bubble. That's
yeah, for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
But hey, stay safe, America. I love some of you.
Please.
Just some of you. Speaking of love, the promise of an open world skateboarding game was fulfilled with the next entry in the series, Project 8, released in late 2006. While the PS2 and Xbox versions did not feature said open world, the 7th generation of video game consoles such as the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 could support larger content. Once again, the game's story centered on the player character aspiring to become a professional skateboarder, this time by advancing through a rank system to become a part of Tony Hawk's new fictional skateboarding team, the name giving Project 8. Unlike in previous entries, the classic mode was embedded in the different areas of the open world. The game did not appear on Nintendo's then new Wii console, which instead saw the release of the then exclusive spin-off game Downhill Jam, a downhill racing game featuring mostly a fictitious cast. The game was also released on PS2 half a year later. So, I mean, these later games still sold pretty well. But,
yeah.
But
I don't think they were super popular here.
No. There's my but. Do you think do you think the changes they made just weren't working? Like, was that the reason why these weren't, like, people don't talk about Project 8 ever? Is that the reason? Like, we just wanted classic Tony Hawks?
It sounds so funny you saying that nobody talks about Project 8. I was actually recording a podcast episode with a friend of mine, Freddie, and I said to him, I'm going to record a podcast about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and he's like, don't forget to mention Project 8.
Oh, there's the one person.
There's the one person who remembers that game.
Oh, no. Okay.
I don't think it was necessarily content. It might have been a time of fatigue for the franchise at this point.
Yep.
Because they're just like, okay, well, you're not doing anything new. I can just continue to play Underground or Wasteland or Pro Skater 4 if I want to at this point, because it's all on. I can't remember, what was it on PS3 at this point? Nothing was. I've
forgotten everything already.
I don't think it was. I think Project 8 would have been the first to launch onto next-gen consoles besides American Wasteland.
I think Project 8 was all of them. I think it was PS2 and PS3.
Yeah.
It was like on the sort of PS3 sort of might have just come out, so they, you know how they release games for both?
Yeah.
For a little bit?
Yeah. during that period, the transition period. But I think it was just a general fatigue around this genre of game, and every, there's ebbs and flows in every genre of gaming, where if there's too many games released, it gets repetitive, it gets boring, nothing new's done. The gameplay, yes, it can be improved. Visuals, yes, can be improved, but I think maybe Neversoft had lost their touch with it.
Oh, 100%. That's like we were talking earlier about how having a little bit of a lull over the yearly release kind of style. It's like, well, that's not what the only game that's worked out for is Call of Duty, and I kind of don't know how still, but it happened with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
And like even like Assassin's Creed has like a different story every year, where Tony Hawk's, it's not really a story-based game, so that's even worse. But like with Assassin's Creed, they the first like I don't know, half a dozen were great, and then it was a slow decline. And they finally figured out, or they finally worked out like, oh, maybe we shouldn't release these every year because people are getting, and we can't keep churning out top quality games within a year. Like, it's just not possible.
Yeah, and this goes back to things that are coming up in recent times about crunch and not having games completely finished and development teams being burnt out. And I imagine that Neversoft would have been experiencing this under Activision's direction as well.
Yeah, like I guess with Call of Duty it's different also because Activision has like 2 or 3 different companies working on every game. So like even though they come out yearly, they're sort of got about 2 or 3 years to be made. Where Neversoft, they're got over 150 staff, but there's still one company working on that one game, and that's why you can't progress, you can't like innovate because you just don't have the time to. Yeah,
and at this time, I don't think they were doing a lot of patching. So they were working on the next game that they could be their next big hit, the same way that the Pro Skater entries were.
Yeah, very sad. It was it's kind of, as you're like going down the list of like games, like, oh, it's a downhill race, which is
only going downhill from here.
So the next game in the main series was 2007's Proving Ground, featured a largely similar concept to Project 8, no surprise there, with an open world and the player able to choose 3 career paths as a skater. Baltimore, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. were established as the 3 open world areas, each containing 3 skatable areas, which also featured an integrated classic mode. The game was the first and only entry of the series to compete with rival skateboarding series Skate, which also featured an open world but with more advanced controls and a less arcadey style approach. Skate outsold Proving Ground on a 2-to-1 ratio, resembling the lackluster reception. With the franchise suffering from product fatigue and appearing to be past its prime, Activision decided to dedicate most of Neversoft's labor force to the Guitar Hero and Call of Duty franchises. This development would more and more marginalize Neversoft, which was defunct and completely merged in with Infinity Ward by 2014. And the control of the Tony Hawk's franchise had passed on to Chicago studio Robomodo by 2008. I think that's how you say it.
I think so.
Robomodo, just it rolls off the tongue, really. So the first Skate game came out in 2007, and I personally think that Skate 3 is probably one of the best skateboarding games out there. Did you play any of the Skate games?
I think I went for Skate instead of getting Proving Ground at this point, because I was just like, let's try something different.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure I went for Skate on this. I didn't play 2, but I've definitely played 3.
Yeah, 3 was I didn't play 1 or 2. I played 3. So I knew what like Tony Hawk's was like, with Proving Ground and a few of the games just before that, and I just wasn't interested. I'm like, no, it's not Pro Skater 2. I'm not going to deal with it. And then I saw Skate 3 and I was like, ooh, like an open world skating game that's like, it was kind of similar to Tony Hawk's, but it had a bit more of like a sim approach where you can't just like press triangle to grind. You kind of had to do a bit more than that, which was cool because one, I'm a little bit older and I can sort of, grasp that kind of mechanic, and two, it looked better, and three, I think it was just a better game, like hands down.
Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Did you are you excited about I guess they announced Skate 4 is in development, but I honestly don't think they've done anything with that yet. So Skate 4 will probably be out in like 2025.
It's probably a bit preemptive that they have even announced that they're going to do something with it.
It was weird.
Yeah, I was just like, well, show me something.
It was. This is the problem I have with modern gaming developers or publishers, is they just announce things so early for no reason. Like, what benefit do you get from announcing Skate 4 when you probably don't even have a company or like working on anything yet? They literally just announced it to announce it.
Well, we've got nothing else to say, so we're doing Skate 4.
I'd rather you say nothing.
Just say nothing. Why do this to me?
Oh, it's a problem I have. Like, I'm not a big Bethesda fan, but they used to. Unfortunately, they've gone the route of other companies, but they used to like announce games like 6 months before they were released.
Well, that's what Capcom does.
Yeah, like they just like say E3 is like June, July, whatever it is. They'll say, hey, this game's coming out in November, and it's like, oh, and like no one has heard about the game ever. It's like they're announcing that the game exists and that it's coming out in like 5 months.
Yeah, I like that approach. And like with my work, well, we do work with Capcom, and it's so good to just have someone so certain about what's happening and be like, okay, well, cool, the game comes out in May. There you go. It's cool.
It's easy. It gives you enough time to get hyped instead of like, here's this game. Oh, we haven't done anything. So, and then in the back of your head, like, well, why do I care?
Exactly. And I think that that's when some companies are really, they want to build the hype because it's, it's a marketing strategy.
Yeah.
But it's also detrimental to the franchise or to the IP in itself.
Hey, look what happened to Cyberpunk, guys.
Oh, yeah, I'm so
development for like, what, 7-8 years?
Yeah, I have it. I've played maybe 16 hours and then it got too much for me, and I was like, okay, not that there's bugs or anything because I'm playing on PC, but just that I just couldn't do it. It's very overwhelming.
It's there's a good game in there. It was just too hyped, and that's probably partly my fault. I got too hyped, but
I got super hyped.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, this game looks like it was made for me, and it was kind of a different game than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, absolutely agree on that.
Speaking of Cyberpunk, I guess.
Or games that were that were meant to be but didn't turn out to be that way.
We're going to talk about the Robo-Moto era, which was 2008 to 2015. This is I've got one paragraph here.
Yeah.
So
sweet.
So to combat product fatigue and be able to compete with rival EA's Skate series, Activision decides to reboot the series with new developer Robo-Moto. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you ask, Robo-Moto only made one mainline Tony Hawk's game and 6 spin-off games.
Oh god.
The spin-off games are Motion. Well, it's all like Tony Hawk's blah, but I'm just gonna say the blah. Motion, Vert, Ride, Shred Session, and the underwhelming Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD.
Oh god.
Which was kind of like I guess it was a remaster of the original Pro Skater game.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't there. They just, I don't know, didn't put the effort in. Who knows? So the one mainline game they made was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Yikes.
If that title doesn't fill you with like some sort of bad juju, I don't know what does. So because the licensing deal between Activision and Tony Hawk was set to expire by the end of 2015, the game was hastily developed within a few months and released unfinished with little promotion. The game was so rushed to release that it was unplayable without an 8 GB day one patch, with only the tutorial and the part creator being accessible. Essentially, the patch was what contained the full game. I can't say that with straight face. That's rough as. After initial footage received negative feedback by fans and commentators alike for its outdated graphics, Robomodo made a departure from the attempted realistic look to a cel-shaded style 2 months prior to the game's release. Even though Activision marketed this as a conscious stylistic decision unrelated to the feedback and solely owing to allow a consistent frame rate, the results did not save the game from being panned by critics upon release in September 2015. And I remember when this came out, obviously it's only 5 or 6 years ago. It was a terrible time
What
for
a
Tony
mess.
Hawk's, and to be a Tony Hawk's fan in general.
Yeah.
So Tony Hawk's 5 was terrible and probably the last nail in the coffin. Did you even attempt to play this? Like, did you just hear how bad it was and avoided it?
Back in 2015, I was playing more RPG games. So I was playing, at that time I would have been probably playing Dragon Age. So I had no time for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
No. Especially, did you hear how bad it was though?
No, I didn't even know it had released.
Oh, savage.
Yeah, and you know, that just goes back to what you were saying about little promotion for the game. So, and I was working in games at the time as well. So that's really surprising for me.
Yeah, it was just it came out and it was just a buggy mess.
Oh.
And I didn't play it. I just avoided it. I'm like, no, I've got better things to do and play than this. And it was just, I saw videos like buggy mess, like clipping through the world, and just the mechanics were bad. And I was like, wow, like, yeah, this is the death of Tony Hawk's, everyone.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think I was ever going to see another Tony Hawk's game. Like, that was it. I was like, that's it for Tony Hawk's. It's done.
Done your dash. Yeah.
So that moves us onto the current era, 2016 to now. So on December 3rd, 2018, Hawk announced the first game bearing his name. So this is Tony Hawk. I should have written that. You should all just know it's Hawk now, like in Cobra Kai. Announced the first game bearing his name, not to be published by Activision. The game is called Tony Hawk's Skate Jam and was released for iOS and Android on December 13, 10 days after his announcement. There you go. That's how you meant to do it. Maybe not 10 days. That's a bit quick, but it's only a mobile game, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, that's okay then. I forgot that. I didn't hear that bit. So I was like, oh, okay, don't worry.
That's why no one played it. On May 12th, 2020, or what a year we had then, it was announced that Vicarious Visions would be remastering the first two Pro Skater games for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. It was released on September 4th, 2020, once again published by Activision. All levels and skaters from the original games returned in the remaster, and improvements to the skater and park creation tools were added to allow these to be shared online in multiplayer modes. In addition to new songs, the majority of the music from the original games returned as well, with a few exceptions due to licensing issues. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 became the fastest selling game in the franchise, according to Activision, selling 1 million copies within its first 2 weeks.
Wow.
I personally thought these remasters were fantastic. They were so good, so fun. It was like, it's kind of like playing, like, when you think about a game and how it used to play, and you're like, man, this game was it looked so pretty, it played so well, and you kind of go back and like, it hasn't aged that well. Like, playing this is how I felt like when I first played Pro Skater 2.
Yeah, I haven't played these yet, and I've been meaning to duck out and pick up a copy, but when I saw the announcement, I nearly just passed out. And then obviously the pandemic happened, and I was like, well, and I'm a collector. Like, I like to go and pick up a physical media for these types of things. So it's been on my list to do now that life is semi-normal.
Oh, 100%. It's a bit hard, especially depending on which state everyone's from. Like up here in Queensland, we've been pretty lucky with the cases. We've had like a few lockdowns here and there. But Australia as a whole, I think has done pretty well with
all right, I reckon.
with what's happening. But yeah, definitely pick this up whenever you get a chance. Just
I will.
jump in, play it. If it feels good. It feels really good. So do you reckon there's enough love for Tony Hawk's again that we might see like a proper maybe Tony Hawk 6 in the future?
I would love maybe not like an entry into the franchise, but a completely reimagined game. With his name attached, of course, because I feel like as we're getting more and more numbers attached to the end of these games, that's where that product fatigue comes in. And you don't want that, obviously, in a franchise. Like Assassin's Creed never number their entries into the series. So I'd love to see a completely reimagined IP, which would be really cool. Maybe not necessarily even Activision.
Can we attach Tony Hawk's name to just the Crazy Taxi remake that we're gonna get next year?
Whoever's gonna, and it's not Activision. See, I don't play a lot of Activision games, so I think that's where my ignorance comes in assuming that they might not have the capacity to be able to handle it.
Activision owns everything.
Yeah, true. But it'd be interesting to see maybe a different studio take on the project, considering that we did get a lot of drop off in the last entries of the series that were published by Activision, but not necessarily developed by their direct team, more so their independent studios that they own. I don't know. I'd like to see something fresh.
Something like new and different. I guess that's what they were trying to do with the series, where it kind of dropped off in the late 2000s, where they were trying different stuff, but it might have just been wrong place, wrong time, where now it's like maybe that stuff might have worked now.
Yeah, and look at games that have, you've got your sporting games like Dirt that come out every couple of years, and they do incredibly well considering, that it's I think they're up to 5 now.
Oh, something like that. I don't really follow Dirt.
No, me neither. That's why I'm thinking of sports games. But there's not a lot of extreme sport games on the market when you do have a look. And seeing something with Tony Hawk's name attached to it, you want it to be this high quality, incredible gaming experience that is based on someone you know and love.
You kind of want the next Tony, if they make one, the next Tony Hawk's game to be the influence.
Yeah, you want it to be the Tony Hawk game.
Yeah.
Like you are Tony Hawk and it's his career that you're following. That'd be cool.
And what we'll get, hopefully, is a Crazy Taxi remake, because that's all I want now.
That's all I care about right now. But I mean, if you have a look at like NBA 2K with their facial scanning, like, look, that is innovative in that they did it in Pro Skater 3 or 4. It was horrible because when you think about the graphics on PlayStation 2 and 3, it's just like, oh, no
terrible.
Thanks. No, I don't want that. It's like a Slenderman crossover universe type face.
It's just like a dead skin mask. You know what the next Tony Hawk's game is going to be? You're gonna be able to control the real life Tony Hawk and just live his life. It's gonna be like being John Malkovich, but it's being Tony Hawk. That's it. That's the game.
Sold. I'll have 10 copies.
I'll have my check in the mail, please, Activision. Speaking of being John Malkovich being the best movie ever made, we're going to talk about the music.
Yes!
I've only got a little bit here, and I'm going to let you talk my ear off about it. So, the Tony Hawk's franchise is infamous for its amazing soundtrack. It opened up a lot of people to punk, ska, hip-hop, and hardcore. I think one of the most standout tracks would have to be Superman by Goldfinger, obviously. You hear that song, and you're instantly taken back to childhood. So, I know we can't go through every single song.
I know.
Ever. But did you have, favorite tracks, favorite games with favorite soundtracks? Like, just start talking and I'm all ears.
So I really, really, really loved the first game soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because it really introduced me to like a bunch of stuff I would never have really listened to ever. So we've got like Dead Kennedys, who my dad is a massive fan of. Obviously Goldfinger's Superman, but we also have Suicidal Tendencies, who are just such a phenomenal band. The Vandals, who at the time I had no idea who they are, but now in my 30s, I'm like, oh yeah, the Vandals. They're heaps big. I've seen them at Soundwave, and it's so weird that I never made those connections to being like, oh, but they're also on Tony Hawk, like Pro Skater, which is cool.
I miss Soundwave. I'm just gonna bring that up a little bit.
I know, me too.
It was a good time.
It's so sad.
Yeah, go on.
But then you go on to like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. We have Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine. We have Papa Roach. We have Bring the Noise by Anthrax and Public Enemy. No Cigar by Millen Collin. You have Lagwagon. Like, there are just so many amazing artists that kind of were inspired by the fact that all these amazing bands were put on the first album. So you see all these, so I can't remember who, but I think the production team basically just through random connections and whatnot were able to get these artists onto their the first Pro Skater. Tony Hawk obviously knew Goldfinger somehow through connections in skating and whatnot, and I think he had done a film clip with them. I'm not 100% sure, but he asked them and they were like, yeah, sure, we'll be on the soundtrack. And
that's awesome.
It's such a cool marketing tool to have your music on something so incredibly successful. And when you look at the other soundtracks, you know, the artists are only getting better and better. Like, I know Bring the Noise by Anthrax and Public Enemy because of Pro Skater 2.
That song bangs too as well. That's such a good song.
Yeah, I still will drive home and put that on my way home.
Yeah, boy. Boost. Yeah. I can't sing it perfectly, but otherwise I'll get DMCA'd from the internet. But
yeah, don't do that.
I think Pro Skater 2. Well, obviously that's one of the first games I played in the series, and just it even had I'm looking at it now, Power Man 5000 on that.
Yeah.
When Worlds Collide, which is a great song. And like Guerrilla Radio, like Rage Against the Machine. Like, you listen to Rage Against the Machine now. It still holds up. It's like,
absolutely. Not
only like musically, but lyrically and just like thematically, like their message, like it's kind of like terrible to think that a band that came out in the 90s, like their message still holds like true to what the world's going through. It's like, it's very sad, but I don't know, it's such a good band.
It makes so much sense. And a huge shout out to Red Hook, who do a freaking awesome cover of Guerrilla Radio. Yeah. So yes, it's so good. I really love it. And I love both, you know, versions of the song. So it's just really cool to hear Emmy just belt out those lyrics, because she's just such an amazing vocalist. So but no bias to that band at all from you. Pardon?
No bias from that band for you.
No, not at all. No.
I'm going to listen to this later. I'm going to put a copy of it in the show notes so you can all have a look.
It's really cool. But my favorite soundtrack would probably have to be Pro Skater 4, because it introduced me to Agent Orange. So,
yep.
Who I still listen to. But you also have like Bouncing Souls, AC/DC, De La Soul, The Distillers, Flogging Molly, Hot Water Music, Iron Maiden, Less Than Jake, NWA, Offspring, Public Enemy, Run DMC, Sex Pistols, System of a Down. Like, it's an insane song list for a video game.
You know what another sad thing about the series is, right? So as the games went on, they kept making games. The games didn't get better, but the soundtracks got better. And they got more like...
Pro Skater 5, you have like Anti-Flag, Death from Above 1979, 4 Years Strong, 100 Visions, Icon for Hire,
Kill or Be Killed.
State Champs are on it.
4 Years Strong. Like, it's a bit sad that these soundtracks won't get listened to because the games are so trash.
Yeah, and then underground you have like Dropkick Murphys again, Rise Against, Refused, NoFX, Hot Water Music, Social Distortion, Stiff Little Fingers, Strike Anywhere, who I fucking love. You have The Clash.
Like, looking at the underground soundtrack here, it's like separated by like punk and then rock and then hip hop. Like that's a deep bench of Queens of the Stone Age, Mastodon. In Flames, just like skating along, listen to fucking In Flames.
Yeah. Oh, there's Clutch as well. Oh god, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
I remember I worked one of the sound waves when Clutch was here.
Oh, cool.
Because my friend was working behind the scenes, and she just got me like a volunteer kind of thing.
Nice.
And I was just in the signing tent, sort of just helping with that. And I was like face to face with Whitechapel, and because like they're one of my favorite bands, and I'm like, whoa, Phil Bozeman is very short. But Clutch was there, and the amount of boobs they signed was insane. They signed a lot of boobs that day.
Wow, maybe they were all Tony Hawk fans.
Yeah, like I remember listening to you in Tony Hawk's Underground. But Clutch is cool. And then like the hip hop, like they got all the hip, so it wasn't just like, you know, it kind of started off like sort of like a punk rock kind of thing, and then they just went with the times and added a lot of hip hop because, you know, skaters were listening to different things. And
it was really reflective of the culture of skating, and that one thing I've always really felt about skating, and even just people representing skating like Thrasher magazine, it feels very like an inclusive sport where, you know, we see a lot of Black and POC people involved in this sport, and it really taught me that and look, they even had a female skater at one point in even from the start in Pro Skater, and I feel like that is just so different to what you would have seen through a lot of games at that time entering into onto console. Like, it would have just been all white people.
Oh, 100%. Like, representation matters, and if you don't think that representation matters, you're obviously a straight white person, a straight white male. Because I am a straight white male, and like I don't need to be represented. We've been represented quite enough, and like I'm glad there's, you know, it's 2021 and there's more things happening. It's like, just to speak of that kind of thing now, Rainbow Six Siege just made, like, I didn't even think they made an announcement. They just put it in a bio of a character that they are gay. So a gay, I think it's male. I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I do remember seeing something, and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, because I retweeted it. Someone's talking about it, but the comments are just like, well, Rainbow Six is about weapons and gadgets. Why do I even care if they're gay or straight? Like, I don't care if they're gay, but why do they have to put it in the game? It's like, well, dude, obviously you don't understand.
You don't get it.
Because you are a white, straight male.
You just don't get it. It's like, well, then don't play that character.
Yeah. Or if it's about the guns and the gadgets, why are you even angry?
Yeah, it's just, it's like those people that are like, I don't see color, I don't see gender. And it's like, oh, you are so stupidly ignorant. Yeah. You don't get it.
You are a dummy. Like, you can see gender. You can see gender and color. They want you to see them for who they are.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's obviously not necessarily everybody's choice to make that as a part of their identity, but it is important to people's heritage and culture. And yeah, I really feel like Tony Hawk did, for that time and that era, you know, it's 1999, and there were, you know, Black skaters in that game and female skaters, and it's just like, this is so cool.
Oh, 100%. Like, it's even like, even though like I don't need to be represented anything, right? But if I see an Australian in like a game or a movie, I'm like, fuck yes. Representation, baby.
I hear your accent. I feel you.
Like, have you seen the new Mortal Kombat trailer?
No, not yet. I've been meaning to watch it today.
Okay, so watch it later today, and then right at the end of it, like, I was like, oh, it hit me in my little Australian heart. So you go watch it. Tell me what you think, because I think it's going to be a pretty good movie. I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan, so.
Oh, me too. And I unashamedly loved the Dead or Alive movie, so.
Oh. You're
with
one
Holly
of those
Valance.
people, I see.
Holly Valance was in it. I had a reason to enjoy that movie.
She had potential to be a big star. She was so pretty.
Oh, beautiful. She's a beautiful lady.
She had a great song too.
Oh, that Kiss Kiss song?
Yeah.
Oh, I miss the good old, like, late 90s, early 2000s Australian pop.
Although I was a young boy, so I don't know if it was the song or the video clip. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure she was like...
What you need to do is listen to the song without the film clip, and then just watch the film clip with no audio and
see which I like better.
Yeah.
I think 32-year-old me probably like the song a bit better. Probably,
yeah. No doubt about it.
But just speaking of Australian pop, like Kylie Minogue, hello?
Yeah.
The greatest of all time?
I know. I'm going to listen to her on my drive.
And she was in Street Fighter, the movie.
Oh, she was too? I forgot about that. Yeah. That's so funny.
It's like when, speaking of these video game movies, okay, it's all video game related. We can talk about this. Speaking of video game movies in the 90s, right? So you got your Street Fighters, your Mortal Kombats, your Mario Brothers,
oh God,
other stuff. Hey, so I loved it all. Like Mario Brothers, I loved. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, I loved. Obviously, because I was a kid, you know.
Yeah.
We kids will watch anything, and it's just so funny when like people come into my chat or I'm talking to someone and they're like, "Oh, how crappy is that Mario Brothers movie?" I'm like, dude, I fucking loved that movie, and I will always love that movie. Oh, also, the Double Dragon movie, also one of my favorite movies.
I haven't seen that.
Growing up, it's so good.
Hmm.
But you know, if a movie like that came out now, I'd be like, you know what, this is trash.
Yeah.
I don't need this in my life.
No.
God, where were we? That was a bloody big tangent. Oh, music. That's right.
Music. Australian pop.
Oh, that's what we need in the next Tony Hawk's game. Just Australian pop music. Delta Goodrum. Maybe some Guy Sebastian. Kylie Minogue.
Natalie Bassingthwaite.
Oh, she did. She was like, what? She was like an electronic band, wasn't she?
Road Traders.
That's it. Baby, baby, baby.
She went to my school.
Really?
She graduated maybe 4 years before I started, though, so I didn't get to see her there.
Ah, true. Well, I knew her from Neighbours.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she was like, she was in music, and I was like, oh, okay, doing that now.
Yeah, I went to a performing arts high school, so that's why she was at my school. Yeah. That's
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's nothing like people think it is. We do not break out into song like in High School Musical.
I wasn't going to ask, but I kind of was.
Everyone's mind.
I just went to crappy old public high school where we didn't sing songs all day.
We didn't either. Like, I learned things.
Yeah, what 4/4 is.
Yeah. I'm still terrible at timing, don't worry.
Bless yeah, so the Tony Hawk soundtrack, infamous for a reason. Like, it's just yeah, as I said, it opened up so many children's eyes to different music, because you know, when you're a young child, you sort of gravitate towards, you know, what's on the radio and stuff like that. Like, that's all you could, well, that's all we had growing up. I'm sure it's a bit different now. But yeah, it opens up your eyes, like, oh, I didn't know music could be like this.
Yeah, it definitely introduced me to a lot of like punk artists that eventually paved the way for me, because I listened to a lot of like Midwestern emo and a lot of pop punk, so it definitely paved the way for that for me.
Oh, 100%. And obviously you listen to the good stuff, because all that stuff is fantastic.
Yeah.
So just to end the music section here, everyone should just go listen to Superman by Goldfinger. I know, put on your Dickie shorts, your skater shoes, go get a McDonald's burger and cry, because nothing will be as good as that feeling.
Oh, that's so true.
Goldfinger also did a like a quarantine live version of Superman.
I think I saw that.
I think I saw it on like Twitter or something. I'm probably gonna try and find that and put that in the show notes also, because it fills me with joy.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling.
And it's my podcast, and I'll do what I want. So that's gonna move us on to the reception. So not really much to tell here. It's kind of, we can't really go through every single game and tell you every single thing about it, because that would take me 5 years. But the best and worst games in this series according to Metacritic. So the best game in the series is, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, and that's sitting on a 98.
Holy moly.
That is high. But well deserved, because that game was fantastic for the time. Still fantastic now with the remake. Go play it. And to no one's surprise, the worst is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, which is sitting on a 39 for Xbox One and a 32 for the PlayStation 4. That is low. So it's funny, Tony Hawk's goes from the highest highs to the lowest lows, all in a decade.
Yeah.
Pretty nuts. But as of 2020, the series as a whole has sold an estimated 1.4 billion copies over everything Tony Hawk's related. That's still pretty good.
Nice.
So my final, I guess, Tony Hawk's question and thoughts for you is, what does thinking about it, what does the Tony Hawk's franchise mean to you, and why do you think you loved it so much growing up?
I think because I socialized a lot with my sister around this game. We had friends over to play it with us because we were the only kids who had a PlayStation at the time. It was so much fun. It just really, my sister's not a gamer, and so for her to pick up the controller and play something like this with me while we were growing up really meant a lot to me, because that was not only her showing interest in the things that I liked, but her also just spending time with me in general. And obviously, as we got older, we grew apart because, we both did separate things and had different friends. But Tony Hawk is something her and I will just be like, oh, remember how good that was? Like, it's something that, we can still reminisce on and be like, yeah, remember how fucked up was that bit when, like, this had happened and, like, you just couldn't land your trick. And it was just it's still lots of fun for me and her to talk about, and we laugh about it because we were obsessed with that game. And at the time, I just didn't have any friends who played video games, and so I'd talk about it with them and they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, because gaming was big, but it's not like every little boy's playing Fortnite. It was very like, it was hard to find like another person who kind of played. I had like maybe one good friend who played games.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like everyone was like into, still into action figures and like biking and stuff. I feel like we're all into that too, but just gaming wasn't a big thing, and probably because people's parents didn't think it was a big thing. Like, it was like, it's just a fad.
Yeah, well, the thing is that my mum and dad had a very positive attitude towards gaming because my dad played a lot of video games, and when my parents were still together, my mum played a lot of video games. Well, not a lot, but like a normal amount.
What a cool mum.
And yeah, she used to play heaps of Mario. I can't remember which one, but it was on SNES. Oh, I don't remember.
Like Super Mario Land or something? Or
yeah,
Super Mario Brothers 3?
I'm not too sure. Yeah, she really liked that series, and like that would have been the last game that she ever played. So when my sister and I were interested in gaming, she wasn't too weird about it and wasn't like, you can't do that, or but it was very like designated times we were allowed to take over the TV or spend the whole day gaming, because my mum was very much like, go outside and play kind of fun. And we had a swimming pool as well at the time, and so it was like, go for a swim, like go outside. And so having that time with my sister, and even my other siblings would sit around and watch us play as well. So it was like a cool family thing that we did for a little while.
That's so cool. Yeah, I got a lot of games like that with my brother and stuff. Like, as I said, Ocarina of Time, and there's just certain games through my childhood that, like, even though my memory is pretty bad with a lot of stuff, like I'm pretty bad at remembering things, there's just
me too.
There's video games and even like movies and music where I'll listen or I'll watch and it'll take me back to a specific point that I will remember, and it's like, it just fills me with so much happiness.
Yeah,
and I think that's why games are so awesome. And even though people rag on kids for playing Fortnite or Minecraft or whatever now, like, those kids are gonna grow up and be like, oh man, remember when I played Fortnite with my brother and filled me with so much happiness. Like, adults need to remember that kids play games too, and they'll have their own memories, and
Yeah, my nieces both play a lot of Roblox.
Yep.
Because they're kind of in that age. Well, my eldest niece plays Minecraft, but the 4-year-old, she can only play Roblox really. And last night, they were so proud because they've built these houses and come look at my house and look at this thing and look at that. And the really cool thing about me as an aunt is that I'm really interested in this stuff that they show me because they're teaching me new stuff about themselves and what they're capable of. And my brother-in-law and my sister are very much like that as well, like super positive, and they love how creative and inventive their kids are, and they see gaming for the creative potential that it has.
Oh, 100%,
which is really cool. Yeah. They're not like parents that shame their kids for gaming or tell them that gaming is stupid or annoying or dumb, which I know a lot of parents probably do.
I feel like if a kid it doesn't have to be gaming like per se, just anything like a kid's into, as long as it's like safe and it's not hurting anyone, you should just embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just let them do what they do, whether it's gaming, art, they want to ride a bike, they want to maybe not dig a hole in the backyard. I did that a few times and got in trouble, but
me too.
anything just like, safe, not hurting anyone, just encourage them, and they'll grow up to love you instead of you denying stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, great.
You sound like a pretty cool aunt. Yeah, that would be cool to have an aunt like you growing up.
I think it's because I'm a gamer. I work in games. Like, I get it.
Oh, that's so cool. But yeah, so that's Tony Hawk's, everyone. What an absolute savage journey we just went on.
I know. That was a wild ride, huh?
I mean, just thinking about that all was from the main bulk of it was really, I guess, 15 years, 16 years.
Yeah.
From the highest highs to lowest lows. What a time to be alive. But this is going to bring us to question time, everyone. It's big question time. So Kat, because you are a horror fan and your podcast is based all around horror, what horror franchise would you love to see in a video game form, and what kind of game would you make if you could get that franchise in video game form?
I would love to see The Purge.
Oh.
But as like an open world battle royale.
I mean, it kind of writes itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, you can still team up with people, so you can enter as a team or as yourself. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I've only just started watching it recently because I have a real big problem with home invasion films. And I know the first one is based in them just being in their homes. And so I've watched through that one. And I know that there's no real sequel, so you can literally just like watch whatever one you want. So I started watching the TV series, and that's kind of helped me cope with the whole concept. And the TV series is really cool. So I'm
gonna throw something at you right now. Home invasion is probably my number one biggest fear of all time.
Oh yeah, me too.
So if I watch something with home invasion in it, that's actually terrifying. It's hard to watch because it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I've watched The Strangers once, and that's enough for me.
I watched it once also. That's it.
And that is it for me.
I mean, I love The Purge. I think The Purge, it doesn't feel as home invadey. I don't know why. Maybe because it's like set in a, I don't want to say like a weird timeline, because I can see this timeline happening. But it's like set in like a kind of like a world that probably won't happen, so it's like kind of it's kind of easier. Where the strangers like, I can see that happening and I don't want it to happen, so I'm not going to let it happen. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm the same with like The Panic Room. Like that movie messed me up.
Oh my god, that's a good movie, by the way, but yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, that threw me a curveball. I can't deal with that.
But yeah, The Purge is pretty good, and like, with the sequels, like you don't have to, it's like, it doesn't have like a direct sequel, but like the sequels kind of tell, I guess, a broader story about
the founding fathers and whatnot.
And like how it started, and like they're good movies. Like I like them. I think people give them a bit of a hard time sometimes.
But imagine it as a battle royale style game.
That's what I mean. Like it writes itself.
Yeah. All right. I'm doing it. Crazy Taxi and The Purge are coming 2022.
So can we turn Crazy Taxi into a horror movie?
There is some horror movies that are based on cars. You can see Christine or The
yes.
Car. The Car is also another one. And so there's a one about a truck. Can't remember the name of it. It doesn't matter. But it's about a big truck and it runs people over. Yeah, it's possessed.
Optimus Prime. It's Transformers 1, guys. He's possessed.
It's just Transformers.
Yeah, like what's the weirdest like I guess you with your podcast, I'm assuming you haven't seen all these movies that people are suggesting. So what was like, I don't want to say the weirdest, what was like the hardest one to watch that you hadn't seen before?
Oh, that's a really good question.
We're just like, man, this is brutal.
Yeah, not most of the films that have been brought to the show I have seen, which is pretty good. So I generally say to the guest, like, choose a movie you hated or you couldn't watch, or it was this or it was that. And everyone's been relatively pretty good. I have my worst fear movie coming up next week, The Blair Witch Project.
Oh.
And I, like, when the guest chose it, I messaged her and I was like, are you trying to kill me? But,
that's a special movie. I think I just think for just movie making in general, just what it could do. I don't want to like steal your podcast on. Everyone go listen to the episode. But I remember, like, even though I was young, I remember when that movie came out and everyone thought it was real.
Yeah, well, they were doing, it's one of the first found footage films that really made it to mainstream. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And it was like, pre-internet, so you just believe anything you hear. Like, wow, this is like an actual, like, this is actual found footage. And like, they just hired just nobody actors to like play the parts, and it just, the look and the feel of the movie. Like, it's like, when you really think about it, not much really happens in the movie, but it's the atmosphere. And like, if you can take yourself back and think, like, thinking that you think that it's real, like, it's so, it's cool. It fills you with chills. And then the ending is just I'm not having any of that.
Yeah, I haven't watched that since I was about 17. So
did you see the new Blair Witch?
No. no, I haven't.
I think it's just called Blair Witch.
Yeah, it's just Blair Witch.
2016.
Yeah, no. I will watch it.
I liked that one. I think it was really good. Like, it kind of like follows the first one in a bit, just with how it's sort of related to it. Yeah. But then there was it Blair Witch 2, like the witch one? Oh, what was that called? It was like something of the witch.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't see that one because obviously the first one terrified me, so I was like, no thanks.
The second one wasn't great. It was just like, it wasn't a found footage, just normal movie. Yeah. About witches flying around or something, but
to answer your question about the hardest film I did was Sinister, because it's a film that when I first watched it, I was so terrified of any supernatural horror. I hadn't really watched a lot of supernatural horror, so when I watched it for the first time, probably in 2013, I made a vow to myself that I would never watch it again.
And then you had to watch it again.
And then I had to watch it again. And I was just like, okay, I'm kind of glad I did. But the anticipation that I felt going into it was just like overwhelming. So it was really hard to dive into it again. But and now I really love the movie.
You're like, ow, my heart can't take this anticipation.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt.
That movie has some pretty brutal jump scares too.
Oh yeah. But the thing is that I don't find Bagul scary. It's the kids.
Yeah, I think the scariest part of that movie is the found films, the films he finds.
Oh yeah. Oh, I even went on to watch Sinister 2, and they get even worse.
Sinister 2 is not too bad. I mean, it's no Sinister 1, but it follows the story and everything. But yeah, those films he finds, those are fucking disturbing, dude.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think those are the scariest parts of that movie. And then like when Oh, mate's just like in the fucking bushes and stuff. You're like, yeah, nah, none of that,
no.
please.
No thanks.
This is turning too home invading. I don't like it. Oh, yeah, horror movies are good. Horror movies are good.
Horror movies, obviously.
Has anyone suggested Wolf Creek yet?
No, which is so weird. I was just like, what?
Oh, in Australia?
What are you doing? Because
you should get John Jarrett to do it on the
funnily
podcast.
Enough, I know his son, so maybe I can like leverage that somehow.
All you have to do, well, I don't know if it'll happen this year or whatever, but whenever there's a supernova on, you know John Jarrett's going to be there.
He's going to be there. Yeah.
He lives there every time I've gone. Oh, yep, there's John Jarrett.
John Jarrett.
He's a nice dude. I said hello to him and he said hello to me. I was like,
he's very lovely.
I was like, oh my God. Terrifying.
He is going to be in a new film called Possessed, and it's an Australian horror film. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. They announced it. Well, they didn't announce it, but they released some screenshots from it a couple of weeks ago.
What's it called? Possessed?
Possessed. Yeah.
I don't even know how to spell.
It looks pretty good.
I'm just looking at it now. It's just taking me to demonic possession, and I don't need that in my life.
Probably possess John Jarrett.
John Jarrett. Something I never thought I would ever have to type into Google. Possess John Jarrett. Teaser trailer. Okay, I'll save that for later. Yeah, I love horror movies too. Like, yeah, I grew up watching as many as I could. I watched all the good ones. I watched all the terrible ones.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, your podcast, I've listened to a few episodes now, and it's fantastic.
Thanks.
I love I love just the casual vibe you're going for. It's not too serious.
Yeah. And the thing is that I want to make horror as accessible to everybody as possible. So by maybe making it a little bit lighter to somebody who doesn't really watch a lot of horror, maybe they'll feel safer going into the genre.
Yeah, you kind of like, I don't want to say, yeah, you kind of just making it like less intense. Yeah,
and by being able to pull apart the different themes and tropes, they're things that maybe listeners don't know much about, and when they go into that film to watch for the second or third time that they do watch it, they can see those things for themselves and make their own judgment and analysis of what they're viewing or hearing. And I think teaching those skills through a casual conversation is a lot of fun.
No, fantastic. I recommend everyone go check it out. Go say hello to Kat whenever you see her on the internet. But this is going to take us to the end of the podcast, unfortunately. But Kat, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
No, thank you. I've really enjoyed our Tony Hawk adventure. It's been really cool.
It was a Tony Hawk adventure. Can you please tell everyone where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, well, you can find my personal Twitter. That's the only one I really let anybody follow me on, at Catstead with an _. I'm currently fighting the original Catstead.
Damn you, Catstead.
Trying to get my handle. So they haven't used the account since I don't know how long, and so I'm trying to get it at the moment. It's not going too well. And then you can find the podcast at TGIF Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then the podcast is basically anywhere where you can use an RSS feed.
Hell yeah, I'll put all those links in whatever descriptions you're reading right now. Definitely go check out the podcast. Go say hello to Kat. Obviously, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that she is an awesome person.
Thank you.
You can find me, if you want, on Twitter. I'm at Wilbur Sprinkle. I also stream video games over at twitch.tv/Wilbur Sprinkle. Play a lot of Sea of Thieves. Been playing a lot of Valhalla, which is kind of taking over my life at the moment. So come say hello. Come talk about Tony Hawk's. Come talk horror movies. Talk whatever you want. I don't really care. I'm also on YouTube, youtube.com/Wilbur Sprinkle. I'm trying to figure out how to do stuff with that channel because, my God, with streaming and podcasting, full-time work, a fiance, a dog, some guinea pigs, it's hard to find some time for YouTube. You know what I mean? The podcast will also be on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all the major podcast players. We're also on YouTube. So definitely check us out there and give us a 5-star review. It helps with the algorithms. Go give us some thumbs up somewhere. I'd appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
But thank you everyone for listening this week. We should be here next week. I might have some stuff on. I'll see how we go. But everyone have a great week, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
I'm waving again for some reason.
Oh, I do it all the time, and I'm just like, oops.